welcome back to Building the Boys. We now have issue 60 of Hachette's Build the Titanic to finish out the month. And there is something new in this one, which is always welcome. We will be building the entrance to the second class area in this one. So we don't need any of the deck brought up here. We can do all this on the desk without needing that. I am going to put it on the end though, so we're going to have a look at where we're going. What you will need in this one, you will need the windows that came with 51. Those are these ones here. And you will need the vents that came with issue 51, which are these two here. So you will need those. So now's the time you're going to find out they're missing. Like what happened to me last month. But nope, we've got these ones. We're good. We're secure. So we'll be adding some windows to this, which, I mean, let's face it, none of us are really enjoying adding the windows, are we? But it's something that needs doing. There are some elements that come with this one that just don't get used, but we've got them. And I would assume, I think, in 61... we will be, I think, adding all of this to the deck. I think that's what's about to happen. I think everything we've built up to this point that isn't attached to the deck, I think in 61, I can see it being quite a big one, where everything up to this point that isn't attached to the deck is going to get attached to that deck. I think that's what's going to happen. I can show you very quickly what comes in issue 61. I know you're all going to be really excited. Oh, what comes in 61? Not much, really. Sadly, not much. Certainly nothing new. This is what comes in issue 61. So you can see there, what we actually get is more lifeboats, tarpaulins, cutters with tarpaulins, davits, a block gear, that's new, self-adhesive reflector strips, sheets and squares. So we are going to be blocking out more light bleed from one of the, at least one of the compartments that we've made like we did last time with the one below the funnel. So we're going to do the same thing, more of that. So that's going to be 61. 62, I know, because on the website, we get a large piece of keel. So we are going back to the hull. We're going to talk about that at the end. Also at the end of this one, we're going to have our Titanic talk, where we've got a just nuts story. But it's very key to the discovery of the wreck of the Titanic. But it is mad. It's insane. It involves the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, Noah's Ark, a trained monkey. I'm not kidding. It's nuts, but it's a true Titanic story. It's part of its weird history. We'll talk about that one at the end. If you haven't yet, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're one of the thousands that swings by every month but hasn't subscribed yet, we'd very much appreciate a subscription. It helps the channel massively, and we just love it when you're on for the journey. Let's get into this. Let's get this open, and let's get this one built. Okay, so here is pack 60. Let's open this one up and see how we do. Now, on a normal build, we'd be celebrating the halfway point, because typically these builds come in about 120 pieces, but not this one. We're 140, so we're not quite at the halfway point yet. Got another couple of months to go before we get there. Let's see what we got. So our normal brown envelopes with another brown envelope attached to it. What's in this one? So in this one we have, okay, so I can already tell you these pipe elements here, these are some pipe elements. We're not using any of these. None of these get used in this issue, but we've received them, but none of them are going to get used. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop them immediately back in their envelope. So that's where they're going to go. We will use these benches, I believe, so they can go to the side there. In this one we have something little. So there we go, some vents, some bits and pieces. So those are going to go in there. Got some screws in here. We've got a few screws. What have we got in this one? This is the actual, there we go. It's got this part here, and we have this, which is our entrance to the second class area. So that's that one. And then I would imagine this is a tiny piece of decking for the top of this. So we're very careful as we open this. Yeah, so there we go. It's some decking. That's what that is. What are those? Oh, those are tiny little pieces. Be careful with these, because I think we need these. In fact, I'm sure we need these. But those are tiny. Don't throw those away thinking that you don't need them, because I'm pretty sure we do. So put those back in your box. Right, let's pop all this in there. The other thing, as I said, we're going to need are our windows and our vents. So bring this one over. You're going to need 7 of these windows, and you're going to need both of these vent covers. So that is what we're going to need for this one. Let's get building. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to add 7 windows. This is 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 windows. Now, I'm sure you don't want to watch me screaming and pulling my hair out as I'm doing this. And also, because of the amount of obscenity that's about to come out of my mouth, we'd probably get a citation from YouTube. So we're not going to do that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install these, and then we'll take a look at the finished look. Okay, so we got the windows in. It's looking lovely. Do you know what? Wasn't so bad, because these are the larger windows. I actually got through that with no obscenity, which, I mean, is nothing short of remarkable. So those are in. The next thing we're going to do is take in our vents from 51. That's these two here. I'm just trying to get some focus on those two there. We're going to glue those into here and here. So I'm just going to crack on and get that done. So there we have our vents glued in place. It's looking lovely already. Now, we are going to add to this. And what we're going to do is we have these 2 pieces here, and they are going to attach to the sides here. So you can see these 2 holes. Now again, they are sent to glue. I'm going to see how the fit is without the glue. And it's fine. But you know what? I'm going to glue. So let's get these glued in. We're going to put one here, like so, and then one on the adjacent side as well. So there we are. There's those 2 pieces glued in there. So that's how we're looking now. Now we're going to be adding these deck components to this. So let's make sure this goes on the right way around. So that is, you can see the holes there need to line up. So that's the test fit. That goes in quite lovely. Let's get the back off this and get this on. Now, again, I'm not worried about glue on this one, because to be honest with you, the amount of stuff that's going to go on here that's going to pin this down is ridiculous. Let's zoom out and get a better look. Let's try and get this off. I'm always squeamish about taking this backing off, because if you bend this too much, you're going to crack in this wood, and I really don't want to do that. But the smaller the piece, the kind of trickier this is to get off. So those tiny pieces we're about to do, not exactly filling me with confidence. Just trying to find a way in here. There we go. Right. So that piece off. And that piece on. So there we have that one in place. Something tells me these next 2 are going to be a bloody nightmare, because they are miniature, and I have these enormous sausagey fingers, which is not going to make this any easier. Just picking these up is bloody hard enough, let alone taking the backing off them. Right, let's give this a shot. Oh, he says that. The backend's just gone off this one easier than I thought it would. Okay, we've got one free. Yeah. Okay, so that's how that's going to go. That's there like that. Now I've got to try and get, I can't even pick this one up. Right, let's try and get the backing off this one as well. Right. May the odds be ever in your favour with this. Okay, that's that one off. Now I want to keep the direction of the planks going the same way. So that one's there. There we are. So that's those on. So that's how that's looking. Rather lovely. Okay, happy with that so far. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to attach the lift engine house. Check the lift engine house 6 fits on top of 60A. So that's the lift engine house. That's this one here. We're going to check the fit. That's going to go on. Looks exactly the same either way around, so it doesn't matter which around we go. But there is different sized lugs. There's a small lug and a large lug, so it can only go on that way. So then we go on to there. Okay, lovely. Apply a little glue to the pegs to fix in place. Again, I'm not. I don't need to do that. That's not going anywhere. It's just not. It's overkill. It's overkill. I don't need to do that, so I'm not applying glue to it. The next thing we're going to do is we've got two vents. So these are two very bollardy looking vents. That's this one here and this one here. And those are going to fit just either side of this. Now I might need to use the tweezers for this one because again, my massive hands. That one's in lovely. This one as well. Pops in there. So it's that one. We are happy so far. Now we're going to build this vent over here. So this needs assembling. So what we're going to do with this one is this way around like so. Then this piece is going to fit in on the back of it there. Now it's got, again, it's a half moon lug, so it's only going to go one way. As firm as you like. Again, glue it if that's your choice, but I don't think that needs gluing. I think that'll be excess. Where is it going? Is it attaching to anything? Does this attach to anything? No, we built it. It's not going to attach to anything. It's very strange. But that's it for the build wise on this one. We do have some benches to add to the deck, so we'll bring that up. So this is the section I'm working on towards the back of the deck piece we're working on. We've taken one of our benches where we've glued the bottom, and we are just going to pop this one onto our deck. There we go, lands down nice and simple. That one goes in there, and we're going to put one on the other side as well. So let me get that one glued up. We'll add that one as well, and I think you can see where the second class entrance is going to be going. But we will pop it on in a minute, and we'll have a proper look at all of our work for this month. Okay, let's try and get this one on. Yep, let's fit down nicely. So our two benches are in. We'll let the glue dry and do their thing, but in the meantime, what I will do is I will take our second class entrance here. That's just going to slot over there like that. That's where this is going to go. I don't want to force this down at this point, but that is where we're going. There we go. So that's our second class entrance. So I will zoom out and we'll have a proper look. So starting from where we just were, we're going to pan out and pan out and pan out. Still going. There we go. So we're looking good. We're looking really good. And where this thing's going to look amazing when it's done, isn't it? I mean, I think we can all agree that this is going to be a sight to behold, and it is going to be huge. I mean, absolutely humongous. When you think about how much more is still to come off the back and off the front of this, this is going to be an absolutely gargantuan model. I can't wait to see her, man. Let's have a chat. So that's it for issue 60, and that's it for the month. There are a lot of parts left over with this one, so keep them safe, like your windows, like your vents. The AP screws that came in 59, keep those nice and safe. Keep your vents, keep your pipework, keep all of that with your Titanic stuff, and make sure it's good. Because I think we're going to be installing it in 61. I don't know that for a fact, but from where we're going with this, I'm assuming that this is the end of this section of the build. And I think 61 will kiss that goodnight, because 62, as I said, we go back to the hull. So I don't know what comes in 63 and 64, but 62, we're definitely getting a large piece of keel for the hull. It's a good thing, because we are now at that point, I think we are, that we need to start building some actual structure here. So it's lovely that we've got the engine room. It's lovely that we've got this piece of deck, but we have nothing in the ways of a structure. We just don't. We've got that little piece of the hull. That's it. So it's now time, I think, at issue 60, which means we've got 80 issues left, which means we've done over a third of where we're going with this. So it's time we start building a structure, because if we've got nothing to build on, where are we going? We're just gonna have this strip of deck. But I don't think there's anything else for us to build at this point, except for the structure. It's got to be, because where else could we possibly go? I mean, maybe we could work on the stern a little bit, but that would seem a little unusual. I think we are at that stage now where we have to start cracking on with some structure, because we've got nothing to attach this to. I mean, there's a lot that goes underneath this. This is just the top of the superstructure. That's all this is. We go down, we've got more deck. So we need to start building that. We need something solid to build on. We can't just keep building bits and disappearing off. So hopefully that's where we're going. I think 61 is going to finish this, which is essentially the top of the superstructure. And then 62 onwards, hopefully we're going to start getting some meat to the bones, because all we've got at this point is skin. We don't have meat or bones. We've just got skin, if you look at it that way. It'll be interesting to see where we go. I mean, it's got to all come together. But I'm hoping that where we go next is building some actual structure and getting a lot more of that hull built, because it's time. I think it's time. If you're just sticking around for the build instructions, thank you for stopping by. Please remember to both like and subscribe. It helps us massively, and we appreciate your help. If you're sticking around for our Titanic talk, we're about to get weird, and it involves this guy. So that gentleman is Jack Grimm. And Jack Grimm, along with others, mounted expeditions to find Titanic. We'll come into Jack Grimm a lot more in a minute. But at this point, so at the very late 70s, the early 80s, sonar technology had advanced quite a lot. And it's now looking very, very likely we're going to be able to locate Titanic. Now, the reason why the people who found Titanic in 1985 aren't there's not as much song and dance about them is because it's a bit like finding a sock in a sock drawer. You know, I mean, it's in the sock drawer. You just got to find where it is. So it's not like Titanic was somewhere in the Atlantic and you've just got to go scour the whole thing. We kind of knew where Titanic was. It's just nobody would be able to pinpoint exactly this is the longitude and latitude of where it is. But it's not a humongous area where Titanic was in the scheme of things. I wouldn't want to walk it, but in the scheme of things, it wasn't. I mean, we knew the longitude and latitude of where it hit the iceberg. We knew where it sank. So finding actually where she was sat, we're not talking hundreds of thousands of miles here. We're not. So it really was a case of whoever gets the best sonar technology first is going to be the one that claims they find it. I can liken this to the missions to find pharaohs and tombs in Egypt. Once they'd sort of found one in the Valley of the Kings, finding the rest of them relatively easy. I mean, if you look how quickly all of those mummies were discovered, including Tutankhamun, it was every day. And having been there, I mean, I've been to the Valley of the Kings. You think, how didn't you find Tutankhamun when everything else they're so close together? It's ridiculous. And like Howard Carter again gets this credit of being like the great Howard Carter, which I've never quite got my head round, because the man was a grave robber. Sorry if you're a big Howard Carter fan, but the man was a thief. The man was a grave robber, and what they did was desecrate a gravesite. That's what they did. They stole everything. Yet somehow he's revered as this massive hero in Egypt. Fell off a horse. That's how he found it. He fell off a horse, and his foot went through planking that was covering over the entrance to Tutankhamun's tomb. So as much as they'd have you believe that Howard Carter's there and he's, like Indiana Jones, not so much. He fell off a horse. That's how he found Tutankhamun's tomb. And he's got quite a lot in common with Jack Grimm. So Jack Grimm had launched multiple expeditions to find things that don't exist. So one of them was Noah's Ark. So they set an expedition to find Noah's Ark. Where'd you even begin with that? If Noah's Ark did exist, and that's a very big if. I mean, it was made of wood thousands of years ago. I don't think you're really going to find much of it. But then other expeditions he funded was an expedition to find the Loch Ness Monster, which again, depending on what side of kind of science and logic you use, even if there was a Loch Ness Monster, it'd probably be dead by now, wouldn't it? And they go, well, there might be a family of them. Well, then we still would have found a dead one, wouldn't we, at some point? He also launched expeditions to find the entry point to the Hollow Earth theory in the North Pole, and he mounted multiple expeditions to find Bigfoot, again with Bigfoot. I tend to switch off when someone starts bringing up Bigfoot for the simple reason that even if we talk about the plausibility of cryptozoology and there being Bigfoot, Sasquatch, you'd have found one. You'd have found one. If there was one in America, you'd have found the bones of one. You'd have found the body of one at this point, wouldn't you? Surely. I mean, even if you haven't found a live one, we would have found one at this point. But we haven't. But people invest in this heavily. I mean, for example, there was that show, Finding Bigfoot, that ran for 10 years. And I can tell you, they found as many Bigfoot as I have on this channel. So on Building with the Boys, we have found exactly as many Sasquatch as the entire cast of Finding Bigfoot did for 10 years. But we don't even mention it. So that's not Finding Bigfoot would have been a better name for that channel. So where does Titanic come into this? Well, Jack Grimm decided that his next thing, everything else has failed at this point, Titanic is his next one. So he's going to go and find Titanic. So he acquires a lot of funding. He knew people. He was someone that knew people. So he had a lot of poker playing friends that invested a lot of money into this. And they secured a sonar device for $300,000 from the university, and that also came with staff. So they got scientists as well. So they were going to set off in Florida with what they thought was the best sonar equipment at the time and find the Titanic. When the scientists turned up, this is a true story. The scientists turned up and they were told that they were going to meet their new consultant. So the scientists walked in, and there on a map, an illuminated map, sits a capuchin monkey. And they said, this is our specialist, he is a consultant, this is Titan the monkey. And Titan had been trained to point at spots on the map where he thought Titanic was. Jack Grimm's completely serious. The monkey knows, Titan knows. So wherever Titan says to go, that's where we're going. The scientists immediately walked out and had a conversation that says, okay, this is all a sham, this is a farce, this is ridiculous, we're being set up like fools, because the other thing that happened here is a documentary the rights to documentary had been put in place. They were going to be filmed a documentary, which Orson Welles narrated, and you can see this documentary. I believe it's called Return to Titanic or Find the Titanic from 1981. And they thought, this is a mockery. That's what this is. We're being made to look fools. So they gave Jack Grimm an ultimatum. They said, right, quite simply, it's us or the monkey. And Jack Grimm's immediate reaction was, fire the scientists. He was ready to go looking for this thing, not knowing how to use sonar equipment, because the scientists basically said, get rid of the monkey or we're not doing this. And his immediate reaction was, we need the monkey more than we need the scientists, which tells you everything you need to know about Jack Grimm. So eventually a compromise is made. The monkey does not go with them. The scientists go out on board, and it's a disaster. So they're out for 3 weeks and they find nothing. They're absolutely hammered by the weather and they don't locate Titanic. That's what happens. They search, they don't find it, they return shore. 3 more expeditions went out by Jack Grimm looking for Titanic. On the last one, they actually sailed over the Titanic twice. So longitude and latitude shows that 2 times they sailed directly over both the bow and the stern of the Titanic. And the sonar equipment they had couldn't find it. Could not find it. So how does this lean into actually finding the Titanic? Well, because as bad as kind of Jack Grimm's science and understanding of what's real and what isn't goes, what it basically told them was that the sonar equipment they were using was not fit for purpose, because that's not going to work. You need something more powerful than this. That's where we are. So whatever sonar device you're using is being used incorrectly, or the conditions aren't right. So even though the missions themselves are a complete failure, there's no such thing as a failure, because you can still use the data that comes back from it to find out, right, okay, this didn't work. Why didn't this work? And what can we do to make it work? So then there was the race to find the Titanic. And one of the people that was in that game were Disney and National Geographic. They both tried to mount an expedition to find the Titanic. And there was this renewed interest in Titanic. So Raise the Titanic had been at the cinema, but it wasn't a big hit. Documentaries about the Titanic were happening, and the plausibility of what sonar technology could do at that point meant it's very likely at some point we're going to find it. So it's not a case of someone finding it, it's someone using the right equipment and going, bam, I found it. And that's all it was. So no one's getting this big pat on the back for, I found the Titanic. You didn't find it, it wasn't lost. You just managed to locate the exact pinpoint where it is. We know where it sank. So again, it's not like finding something that no one knew and you had to sail the entire Atlantic looking for it. We knew it's got to be around here. There's only an X amount of mile radius this could be. We'll talk more about the actual discovery of the Titanic from 1985 in next month's issues. And funnily enough, I mean, we're only a few days past. It's now 111 years since Titanic sadly hit the iceberg and fell to the depths. That happened just this week. So it's it's a sad one, but Titanic's now become an ancient history. 111 years is a very long time ago, and it's become an ancient history, which is crazy, but it's true. That's all for this one. Thank you for stopping by. We have got more coming up on the channel. So we have got Batmobile Tumbler is coming up. That will be coming up tomorrow. So we've got 7, 8, 9, and 10 of the Tumbler. That'll be on the channel tomorrow. We've also got more R2-D2. We have got the Roker Chocolate Factory and something else if you're interested in kind of science and whatnot. We've got a very lovely thing here. We've got a solar-powered Mars rover, which we will be building on the channel very soon. That'll be up as well. If you haven't yet, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps us massively. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for all your kind words and emails. If you'd like to email us, you can at buildingwiththeboys@hotmail.com. In a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice. And we will see you next month for more Hachette's Build the Titanic. I'll catch you then.